All righty, good afternoon, everybody. Again, we give God the glory again for another opportunity for us to play another football game, and so that's great to know that Liberty University football program is playing a game in December, and that's excited about that. Also, want to say thank the fans. Great turnout there in Harrisonburg, Virginia, at JMU. It was really, I think, a vital importance for our football team to help us win the game. They were loud. They were into it. They were energetic. And I want to say on behalf of our whole staff, football players, and everybody, thank you. And I know we're going to have another great following here as we go up to Villanova. Also want to just say congratulations to Robert Wimberly on the American Football Coaches Association Assistant Coach of the Year Award for the FCS. Again, great person, number one. Great job of coaching, teaching, and developing young men. He cares about every single person in this building and people here at this whole university. He is a great representation of a person that knows God, lives for God, and knows how to instruct people about the game of football. So great accomplishment about him, and proud of him and what he has done and what he's going to continue to do. Talk about Villanova. Andy Talley, their head football coach. In the 30 years there at the university, and he's a winner. He's a teacher, and he knows how to teach the game of football and the game of life with his players. So he's done a great job there at Villanova. I've always known about them as far as for a long time. I watched and admired the way they play the game of football there from afar. Again, I don't know him very well. I don't know him at all, actually. But I know the way his team has played football over the years when I watch them every once in a while when they've been in the playoffs. So good football coach. Offensively, quarterback John Robertson, probably, I think he has some skills that are probably very impressive from when I watch him on the post-snap reads. After the ball snap, he has a great way of knowing when to run, knowing how to run, knowing when to throw, knowing what to make the type of throw, knowing who's open. Very, very, very quality player as a football player, as a quarterback. He is a true quarterback that understands the game in every facet. As I watched just about every single football game here and just been watching him a little bit more in a unique way and looking at him from a coach's perspective, but looking at him just as a quarterback player and not necessarily obviously looking at what he does and how he does all those things. But almost 1,000-yard rusher, again, 40-something plus touchdowns that he's involved in. He's the guy. He's the guy. He's the guy that makes it all go. Obviously, he got a good offensive line and tight ends and receivers and all that, but he makes it go because he just has some intangibles that you can try to teach, but it's greater when your guy has that innate ability, and that's what I see in him. Obviously, he has the skills. He got good running skills. He got a good arm and, all those physical skills, but he has some intangibles that sets him apart. Again, I don't know specifically how they pronounce his name, the receiver there, whether it's Livers or Livers. Very quick. He's a go-to guy. He makes plays when they need to make plays, and so we got to contain him in a great way, too, to making sure he doesn't have a whole lot of explosive plays. Defensively, it will be the first time that we've faced this type of a defensive scheme-wise. We hear about odd fronts, you hear about an even front, and you would say they're an odd front. But it's a different type of an odd front, and we use a term from the football side of it, kind of a 3-3-5 look, because they got three different defensive linemen. Then they use five, in a sense, linebackers, DBs, and all that. They're multiple guys who can be more of that in between a linebacker and a DB, as far as those guys that are not defensive linemen. So, we got to put up together some different schemes. And it's a good little teaching thing that we got to do the next 3 days because it is a little bit different than what we've seen all year long. There are some similarities from an odd front, but there has some uniqueness about the odd front here that we got to go over and talk. We faced, when I say we, myself, Coach Stam, and I, over the years, we've seen the 3-3-5 as over the years in Kansas or at Buffalo. So, again, we understand the defense to a certain extent, but we just got to get our players to understand it because there is some uniqueness about it. The thing that stands out, just the overall defense, is the run defense there. Again, they only giving up 100-something yards, or a little over 100 yards per game with the rush. And obviously we're a balanced attack, and we need to run the football effectively. And they've shut down people in a great way. So we got to find a way to run the football, and we got to make sure to do that. The other thing is there's two players, but there's one that really jumps out at me on the defensive side of the ball. It's number 44, Don Cherry. A guy has 9 sacks, over 100 tackles. I have not seen anybody out of the 12 football games that I've watched block the guy. We got to find ways. Again, we're not going to stop him from making tackles, but we got a limit to him to making as many plays that he makes in a ball game. And he's a good football player. He runs from sideline to sideline. He's tough inside the box. He has 9 sacks. It's kind of a little tall telling when a Mike linebacker has 9 sacks. That's an interesting statistic from their scheme and what they do defensively. And he's had over 100 tackles. Special teams, they're very solid. There's only one team that they've held that's held them under 35 points, and that's another interesting stat as I look at their whole numbers and all the different little things that are going on. Nobody's really held them under 35 points, and that's a lot of points. And I know today's college football people are putting up a lot of points on the board. So it tells you how well they are, particularly offensively. And defensively, they're very, very good too. So they're a good football team, and that's why they are where they are. And so we got our hands full to be ready. But our guys will be ready to play their best game. Injury list there, the only guy really is Miles Hunter. He's doubtful. Everybody else will be ready to go. Keys to the game, we got to win the line of scrimmage, offense and defensive line. I think that's the tall tale of this football game. Whoever can run the ball the best is going to probably win the football game. They run the ball very, very well. We run the ball very, very well. And so the D-line and O-line, on whichever side of the ball, going to win that for 4 quarters. I say very likely going to win the game. As always, got to win the turnover margin. And then the last thing is win the third down conversions. They do a great job on their third down conversion. They one of the tops in the whole FCS league as far as converting on third down conversions. And we've been pretty good here in the last 2 or 3 ball games, and we got to continue to do that and don't allow them as many reps as they can get. Open up to questions.
Coach, you faced a dual threat quarterback from the CA last week in Van Lee, and this guy might be even better. How do you feel you did defending a dual threat quarterback last week, and what do you need to do kind of the same way this week?
I thought we did a good job even the last 2 weeks. Alex Ross from Coastal Carolina is a very similar type guy. So the last 2 weeks we faced a dual threat guy, and this guy here is just as good. He might be a little better than all of them. But again, I think our guys here is probably the key is tackling. Not to allow them to extend the plays, and they do a great job of that. The previous quarterback did the same thing, and he's no different. He extended the plays. He's probably maybe a little better runner than the previous 2 guys there. Vadley is just as good too, so he's very similar to him, but he just has a uniqueness way of being able to do things of that nature. So we got to tackle well.
You mentioned the only team to hold them under 35 points this year, I think it was Richmond. What do you take from that game? What did they do so well?
Tackle well. They tackle well. They didn't get them a whole lot of extra plays, get an extra lot of runs. You're not going to totally stop them completely, but they didn't have a whole lot of long runs, and they didn't have a whole lot of explosive plays. So it comes right down to that is they tackled well, and they did some good things on first down. They extended them to make sure they had some long yardage when it was second and long, it was third and long, and then they tackled.
What's the biggest improvement you've seen in Kenny Scott over the last couple of years to take him from being a kind of a nickelback guy to really kind of a shutdown guy towards the end of his career?
Oh, I think he's trusted his technique a lot better. As far as Coach Roberts, Coach Wimberly, as far as all the techniques of defensive backs, what they need to do and how they need to do it. Trust his speed. He is one of our fastest guys on our football team. But the key thing is technique. And then obviously the toughest play in football is trying to play the fade route or a long go route type of a throw. And again, we put him up against guys that are 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", and all those things. He is a very good athlete, and he's a competitor. And so that's a great thing about him. He's a great student of the game. Matter of fact, we kind of do he kind of puts together some of our third down breakdowns as far as from a defensive perspective and charts. So he studies all those different things, and so that gives him a little bit of edge. So he's a great student of the game, and that helps him on the football field.
Coach, any similarities in the last 2 weeks with your defense shutting out the opponent in the second half?
coaches making great adjustments, and then our players listening to what our coaches are telling them and being patient about what we're trying to get done. I think our D-line has taken over, too, on some things, causing some sacks and all those kind of things of that nature. And I think the one probably key person is really two people, I guess I'd probably say, Nick Newman and Justin Guillory. Those two guys have really played extremely well here in the last 3 or 4 ball games.
Coach, can you talk about the confidence level of this team now as you continue to win games on the road? It's got to be at a sky-high level right now. Confidence
is very good. I kind of use the word belief. You can say the same thing in confidence. They understand in our expectation. They understand our scheme. They trust our scheme. They trust each other. You got to do that. That's why the game of football is so great. Is you got 11 guys. And, in some other sports, you can have one guy can go ahead and make a play and do some things, and the other 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever may not do it. But in a game of football, you got to have more than one guy doing his job. And again, you got to trust that guy that he's going to do his job. And time after time, I think our guys have done that, and we made plays when we had to make it. And I think that's a big thing on defense, and it's always been a great thing there on the offensive side of the ball too.
Do you feel like that trust wasn't there earlier in the year, and what developed that trust? How did it come about?
Well, I think inexperience is what I'd say. I'm not so sure they didn't trust it, as we had a few guys, as in Guillory, Holloway, Sampson. A few guys who hadn't played they played last year, but they didn't play a whole lot of football. Now they're the guy. And so it takes a little bit of time now, as now you play 11, 12 ball games or 8 to 9, 10 ball games, just like we talk about when a freshman's playing or a true freshman. He's no longer a true freshman after 7, 8 ball games. He didn't play some football now, and so he's ready to play. And so those guys have made that adjustment. As they use the phrase, the game has slowed down. And that's literally kind of what's happened. They see things now a little better than what they had before. They wasn't trusting their eyes. There are certain reads that they got to read and do, but sometimes they trust because they go back to some of their high school stuff. So it just took time.
You guys certainly played well up at James Madison, but sometimes it comes down to a bounce or two. The one with Josh on the I think it was a 2-yard line where he was able to kind of scoop that back up. Do you feel like that maybe some of the bounces are finally starting to go your guys' way too?
Well, yes, that's true. But I think that you play well, you play hard, you play together, good things then will occur. They continue to compete. They continue to play the things they need to do. And you make your breaks. And I think we're making our breaks in those ways. You can rephrase it however you want to. But the bottom line is, again, our guys continue to play hard and good things will happen.
How much did you think, it seems like teams are really playing Gabe Henderson on 3rd down now. It looks like JMU was really on him, but Dexter was able then to kind of take advantage of that. I mean, is that Gabe's prowess on 3rd down, how much is that opening things up for other guys?
Well, it's helpful. Again, we do have 2 or 3 or 4 guys that we can go to. Obviously, Peterson is the main guy that we like to go to. But again, we feel good about all those guys and different schemes that Coach Stam and the offensive staff have put together to making sure we have success on 3rd down. They all have good hands, and that's the good thing about it. I know earlier in the year we, had a few more drops, and then it's great that our coaches and our players have taken into the haps to make sure they didn't happen again. And so Dexter Herman has been an outstanding player. He may have 2 catches, but the 2 catches he make or whatever are huge in a lot of our ball games. So he's not going to most likely be our leading catcher, but they're very important, him and Gabe Henderson. And again, Peterson's done a great job, too, for all that we're having on our offense. So it's very helpful.
How has Josh progressed as a quarterback these last few years?
Outstanding. I think the biggest improvement that we talked about going into the season was the deep ball, throwing the go route and the post route. And he's improved on that. We use the phrase, don't be throwing any foul balls. The ball's going out of bounds. That's on you. You can't allow that to happen. And he's done an excellent job of that, giving our receivers a chance and hitting them a lot of times in strides. And so he's improved in all those areas. He's anticipating the throws a lot better. He's reading the coverages a lot better. So he's as good as anybody in the country as far as I'm concerned as a quarterback.
On the picks, is that the thing he's still got the areas he needs to improve upon going forward, I guess?
You can look at the stats. It's Josh Woodrum's fault, but it's not Josh Woodrum's fault. The one interception there, great play by number 16. The ball should have been maybe thrown a little more toward the sideline, so that was a little bit of a Josh's fault. The other one, I mean, you can discuss that all you want and say maybe they held him, maybe they didn't. So I don't totally blame on his throws for that. He had a solid game, had a good game coming for his first game back and all that. So a lot of the interception that you see statistically is not totally all on Josh Woodrum. So I'm not concerned about that. He knows how to take care of the football.
Given the two options on the play, how poised was Javin on that fake field goal last week?
Very good, very good. Again, we always have a fake in the repertoire as far as our game plan. I guess it's up to me to make that call. I know sometimes the coaches look at me, I'm too conservative and all that kind of stuff. So I think I've erased some of that this year, made a few more calls as far as taking some chances on things. But we saw a look. I got to give credit to Coach Fobbs. He studied all the field goal blocks that JMU has shown all year long, and we want the ball to be on the left hash or in the middle of the field. And if we ever had that opportunity, we would have done it the first time that the ball was on the right hash, so we couldn't run it on the first field goal opportunity there. So we just said next time we have it, we're gonna run it and take a shot at it and go with it. And great job there by the scheme we had, and then obviously a great job by Javin. He had a two-way go. One is he could run, or he could throw the football there with Cannon Smith there too.
Coming into the game, you said that time of possession was going to be a big factor in keeping their offense off the field, and you pretty much did it the entire fourth quarter with an 11-minute drive. I mean, first of all, have you ever been a part of something like that? And secondly, what does that say for your team to be able to go out there and just kind of dominate up front like you did?
Well, coaches did a great job game planning, and our guys know understand how to finish. Bill Gillespie's done a great job of keeping our guys in great shape, great focus in the task in hand. All the different things that he does in the weight room. It ain't just going down there and lifting weights. It's really challenging our guys, know how to compete when you get tired, know how to compete and execute when you get tired. And so I think that exemplifies how our football team knows how to execute when the game's on the line, when you're tired, when you're beat up, and all those things, and have a great focus on what to do and how to do it. And it's glad to see that our team improved on the area that I kind of talked to our staff and our players the last 2 years that I was here, the first 2 years I was here. In the fourth quarter, we did not score any touchdowns. I said, just about every game and the games that we had lost, if we'd have scored one touchdown, we'd have won every football game. And so it's glad to see that the fruition has come to surface here, that we are scoring touchdowns now in the fourth quarter, and it's definitely given us an opportunity to win the game.
You talked about Villanova's run defense. Do they do anything that you have not seen or present any unique challenges that maybe you haven't seen this year?
It's just an alignment. Again, the 3-3-5 alignment is a little different scheme, and so your linemen, your tight ends, and even receivers, they got to be on top of what's going on, because there's a different alignment. There's different schemes that we got to put into, and everybody got to be on track to get it done. And the scheme is very, very much so designed that you won't be able to block number 44, the Mike linebacker. And again, it's a great scheme. And they got a good Mike linebacker, and that guy can run from sideline to sideline, and he's tough to get to because of the scheme that they run. And they got different things that they do out of it, but you got to have a great plan to be able to do that.
Coach, what have you found out about the game day atmosphere at a Villanova football game, and how does that have any bearing, if at all, on Saturday?
I don't think it's had any bearing. I haven't heard of anything that is going to be unusual than what we've already seen. As I guess the thing that we sit here and say, well, is it going to be louder or better than the North Carolina's environment that we've been into? I don't see that. I haven't heard that it's going to be any bigger or louder than that. Therefore, we won't be able to do what we need to do, so we're going to need to make any more adjustments preparing our football team as far as being on the road.
This team, this program is so good now that you're able to beat Coastal with a backup quarterback. So why does it matter that Josh is back for the playoffs here?
He's our best football player. He's our best quarterback. Simple as that.
Coach, we talked about the defense the last couple of weeks. They shut out Coastal and obviously James Madison. But what is the responsibility of the offense? I believe you said you thought it was going to take at least maybe like 30 to beat James Madison against Villanova. What do you expect? What needs to happen from an offensive perspective?
Well, we're always wanting to score 30 points or more. That's our goal that we talk to our offensive guys, no matter who we play. So I think if that's always a realistic goal that we think that we can achieve, no matter who we're playing, That gives a greater chance to do that. I mean, you're always going to win it, scoring 30 points, but I think we need to be in that area. But I think the key thing is also that we need to stay on the field as much as we can, and we need to score a touchdown when the opportunity presents itself. And we cannot turn the ball over. I don't think we're going to win a football game again with 4 turnovers, and so we don't want to play that game again either.
Now the students are back from break and everything, what's been the buzz like on campus about this team? I mean, how excited do you get a sense of the student body about this?
Well, I guess a whole lot of pats on the back and all those things, and congratulations with statements and emails and all those kind of things, and notes and letters and all that. And so everybody's proud of what the football team has accomplished, but we all know we're not satisfied with that. And probably the biggest thing is maybe some people are saying it makes us feel like that we're relevant around the country of not just football, but the university from that perspective.
Coach, what's been the benefit of the extra days of practice the last couple of weeks?
Well, I think we get a few of our younger guys a few reps. Again, we got to focus on what we got to get done as far as preparing for our football team, but it's good to see other guys getting more reps as we see them. Because, again, here in January and February, we'll be turning around and some guys will be that were redshirted and going to be ready to go in some cases starting positions or at least backup positions and ready to play. So guys are getting more reps, more football reps, and that's so valuable. Experience, you can't make that up unless you are out there and getting more reps. Again, game reps are different than practice reps, but they're still quality reps.
Go back to their defensive alignment. Is Cherry one of those hybrid guys you were talking about? It seems like he does a little bit of everything. And then also, what were some of the teams that you've seen in the past that you could compare them to from an alignment standpoint?
From a defensive alignment standpoint, there's nobody we faced. Like I said, this 3-3-5 look. Nobody has run that in the 3 years I've been here. Oh, from my past? And I was in the MAC there. Akron ran that a little bit. Oklahoma State had run this a little bit too, and some of the times that I've been facing some guys of that nature. So it's not a first time that I've seen the look, so that obviously helps in knowing what we will have some success on. And then there's a few teams that have had some success this year of running some things against them. But I think the biggest thing is, I haven't seen anybody really be consistent on blocking number 44.
I heard you say in the teleconference earlier today that Josh makes everyone on the team better.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by that?
His presence, his ability to make plays when you need to make them under pressure. When he walks in the room, when he walks in the weight room, when he's on the football field, everybody's body language is different because of the way he goes about his business. He's intelligent. He understands the game of football. He can tell you what everybody should be doing on offense, including the offensive lineman, and not maybe all the details and technique per se, but he knows all the things that they need to do and how they need to do it. And so that's what makes everybody better. And when you have somebody that understands the game and then he can communicate that, it's going to raise the level of play. And it carries over on all the way to the defensive side of the ball. And that's what you call about a difference maker. There's players you say are playmakers. Those guys make plays. They may not necessarily can uplift the other team per se, or uplift their team. But when somebody's a difference maker, now he is somebody that is well respected, and when he talks, people listen, and that's what Josh Woodrum is.
Coach, you talked about adding more relevance to the program. How nice is it for you to see the hard work come out the way you want it to?
Well, I'm more satisfied more from the standpoint of this whole university of what has gone through, again, in a lot of different ways, and not just from a football perspective, not just from an athletic perspective. Obviously, what the Christian environment of the school stands for and what it's all about. The late Jerry Falwell, all the dreams and the things that he wanted to see here happen, and appreciate all the people, alumni, both from a non-football side of it and a football side of it, all the things that they've gone through, all the things that they have paid the price for to give me this opportunity, give our whole football team this opportunity, and everybody that's here and student bodies and all that. So that's what's really relevant to me, is really to sit here and say that the people here paid a price. There's always someone before you, a lot of people before you, who have paid a whole price and maybe not got the accolades or the attention or the recognition And obviously, I can't totally go down every name and all the people who have done all that and paid all the price and the dues that have happened in the past. So I want to say thank all of them. And that's what this is all about, that now people are going to recognize this university in a little different way. And again, whether it's fair or not, like I said, because of football, it brings out exposure to a university. That's just the way it is. So I'm just glad to have my little small part of being able to help this university get to a point. And again, there's still a lot of work to get done, and I hope to continue to be a part of it.
Lance Leopold had mentioned you at his Buffalo press conference yesterday, saying that you had once told him in the last year or so the good experience you had at Buffalo and that stuck in his brain there. Do you remember that conversation at all?
Yeah, I talked with Lance. We worked together at Nebraska, and we've stayed in contact there throughout. He's done a great job. I don't know if he won 5, 6, or whatever national champions he's done there at the Division III level. Happy for him and his family. Outstanding coach. He'll do a great job there, and he knows how to teach and coach and develop people there, so I'm happy for him.